Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ignite. This week, I am delighted to be here with Rachel Hanretty of Mademmoiselle Macaron. Rachel, welcome.
Bonjour. I feel like I have to start with that, with running a business that started in Paris. So yes, delighted to be here, excited to share my story, a journey that's been 12 years in the making. So once upon a time, I lived in Paris. I learned how to make macarons there. I came back, struggled to find a full-time job, started making macarons for cafes, hotels, brands that you'll have heard of. You may not know you're eating our macarons, but they're in afternoon tea sets across the UK.
What a super yummy, delicious business.
It's a great business to talk about. It's a lot easier than security businesses.
Super fun. So I want to learn a lot more about it, but I'd love to start at the beginning. So you mentioned that you went to Paris, but before that, where are you from and where did you go to school and what were you like in school?
So I grew up in Erskine, which is like half an hour-ish from Glasgow. We then moved into the south side of Glasgow. So I went to school at the beginning in Erskine and Renfrew. I have lived with epilepsy my whole life, and unfortunately it got to a point where my parents felt it would be safer for me to go to a school in Glasgow. So that was a really interesting time to go to a new school halfway through second year and to balance that with what eventually ended up being brain surgery. So that was a big part of my teenage years. But I was always entrepreneurial. So I had an Avon patch. I don't know if everyone will know about this, but a long time ago you'd have brochures, you'd put them through your neighbours' doors, they'd have a paper order form, they would order things, you would then get them and then distribute them, and you got cash in hand. So
and Avon is beauty products, right? If people don't know.
Yeah, beauty products from shampoo to makeup.
So that's how you started in high school. You were doing that and obviously had some struggles through that, not through that business, but personally. How did you manage?
So the whole brain surgery came after that. I think that having a health condition teaches you resilience. So not that you want to dwell on it, but I think it's nice for me to remind myself I succeed in spite of not having a full brain.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think resilience is such an important thing in entrepreneurship. And actually, you unfortunately had to learn that lesson well, but it probably put you in very good stead. So what were the subjects in school that you most enjoyed?
Obviously, I loved French. That's why I studied at university and I ended up living in Paris. So that was a huge one for me. I loved English, reading. I wanted to be a journalist or writer, so anything with words. So English, French, and drama, which I think helps you be a great entrepreneur. So if you're confident in delivering lines and whatnot, you can stand up there and pitch, and it's definitely not as daunting as for others.
You are not the first entrepreneur to say that, actually. So drama is a very interesting one. So you said you were entrepreneurial in that you did the Avon business, but you wanted to be a journalist. So did you think you were going to become an entrepreneur? Was that something you thought about actively doing?
No, but I would say I was always hustling. When I was still at high school, I approached the editor of the Herald newspaper in Glasgow and asked him if I could write a blog from the perspective of a teenager. That did materialise in something by the time I was at university. When I was at university, I worked in the student newspaper, and then while I was living in Paris, I started to pitch newspaper articles, so being a freelance journalist, which was wonderful to see that you could earn money from writing. And so that experience wasn't entrepreneurial insofar as there was no business, but as a person I was, hustling. I was like, how can I make this make money? I'm not actually motivated by money, believe it or not. I'm motivated by the freedom that money can bring you and the freedom that comes with running your own thing.
Being entrepreneurial doesn't necessarily mean owning a business. It means that mindset and that way of working and trying different things and being creative and ultimately to make money.
I think entrepreneurial thinking, you've hit the nail on the head. It can be used in every subject matter. It's how do you define it? I guess entrepreneurial thinking is being slightly like daring to speak up, to question things, to say, is that going to get us where we want to go? And yeah, not being as scared to try something.
Okay, great. So you were in uni and you decided to go to Paris as part of that. So talk us through how long were you there, what did you go there to do, and what was your experience there?
So I went to the university in St Andrews to study English and French, and that degree program had a specific year abroad, so it was always part of the degree. And because I had a joint honours degree, I didn't go and study in Paris. The idea was you went, they lined you up with a job as a teaching assistant through the British Council, so you would have an income, and you were supposed to go and learn the language and come back fluent and finish your degree. And yeah, it was just like the most fantastic year of my life. And with that and with everything, business and life, you get the most from it when you put everything into it. So I did it all.
And so while you were there, is that where you discovered macarons?
Yeah, I ate a lot of pastries. The way that France treats its food is just so far removed from how we approach it in the UK. We see it as a convenience for eating on the go. In France, you took a proper break from your desk. They looked at you eating sandwiches at your desk, or as a sort of like, that is not right. And so it was just a very foodie place to be. I bought macarons. I'd bought them previously when I'd visited the city, and I kind of by chance got vouchers to a cookery school, and I chose to do a cookery class in macarons. Went and learned how to make macarons in French, no less, so came back with a vocabulary on how to sieve icing sugar, which I don't think I would have learned at university. At the time, there were no real French macarons. It was not what it is today. And there was no social media. There was Facebook, but there was no Instagram, there was no TikTok, Snapchat. So people weren't seeing Paris macarons food as instantly and easily then as you do now.
So just as a bit of an aside, in case there's anyone who doesn't actually know what a macaron is, can you tell us what it is?
Yeah, I shouldn't take it as a given. So a French macaron is almost like a little dainty hamburger. That's not a nice way to describe it. That's certainly what they look like. They come in a variety of colours, variety of flavours. So the shell is made from egg whites, sugar and ground almonds. And the filling can be chocolate ganache, it can be a caramel, it can be a strawberry jam buttercream. It can be lots of things. We make an iron brew macaron. So piped into the middle, sandwiched together. We put them in the fridge or the freezer. It's a great product to make because it doesn't need to be fresh in the same way as a cupcake has to be.
So you went to France, you fell in love with macarons, and then you came back to Scotland. And did you immediately think, I'm going to make a business of this, or what happened?
So I still remember it. I was sitting in my room on my laptop, completely procrastinating, writing an essay, and I got an email from the Career Centre. Just one they sent out weekly of different opportunities, and one of the opportunities and events going on was this idea to pitch a business idea. I just rattled off this kind of random business plan that I was going to make macarons. It was going to be called Mademmoiselle Macaron, and sent it off, got accepted. I did a live pitching event, pitched the business in 20 seconds, got some money. So that was in the third year of my degree. That summer, I trialled making them at home and selling them to some French restaurants, which was successful. But by that point, I kind of thought, oh, this is not a professional graduate thing to be pursuing. So let's just finish my degree and then go and be a grown-up. And I kind of put it on the back burner. It was just kind of fun.
And how old were you at that point?
It would have been 21.
Okay, so you were very young, still in uni, came up with this idea, but then thought, actually, no, now I need to go get a real job.
Had that email not come through from the Career Centre and from that organisation, I would not be here.
Wow. It shows you those moments and those opportunities. So like if an opportunity comes like that, just take it, right? Because you never know where it's going to lead you. Okay, so you then put it on the back burner. What did you do at that point?
So I finished my degree in English and French, and I was applying for all these graduate schemes. So the Sunday Times, the Telegraph, PR companies, publishing companies, marketing agencies, places where I could use words, right, and storytelling. During my whole university time, I always did internships. I was always doing work experience. I was doing everything I could so that by the time I graduated, my CV was as good as could be. So to be going to these job interviews and still not getting anywhere, by that point, I was thinking there's something wrong with me. But also, I was able to be working part-time, about 15 hours a week, working remotely for an organisation called Women's Enterprise Scotland. It exposed me to loads of women running their own business. And in doing so, it made the idea of running a business a viable career option. And I just thought there's something in this. I can go back to what I tried with that macaron idea in university. And before you know it, I'd given up this part-time job and was making macarons at home. And the rest kind of is history. Now, people say, oh, you're so brave to have started a business. I'm like, I think we need to accept that no one would employ me. Like, I couldn't get a job. So, yes. I mean, talk about like moments in your life where it could have gone this direction. Had I got onto a graduate scheme with whoever, I wouldn't be standing here today. I'd probably be a lot richer, but I would not be free.
Some of the most amazing businesses actually have come from people that are sort of in that moment of going, well, I don't know what else I can do. I need money, I need a job, I need to do something, so I'm going to just make that myself.
Yeah, and I think that, sadly, having a job with a big company, having the safety of a salary, isn't really guaranteed anymore. There are waves of redundancies. So I come from a very traditional risk-averse family who really thought that starting a business was risky and was a bit silly, and it was kind of like, she'll give it up in 6 months, I think and hope that nowadays people say, well, why wouldn't you? You've got as much chance of success.
Absolutely. Hopefully the environment has changed and people realize that there are so many different paths to success these days. So you made that decision to give it a go. What were the first steps that you took to actually make it a business?
I had to get Health and Safety Edinburgh Council out to inspect my kitchen at home, and I had to apply to be a trader at a local farmers market. And so once I kind of had the okay from the council and was able to sell at the market, I was good to go. It was relatively easy, and I think that's the beauty of having a product-led business is you make the thing, you sell the thing. So yeah, to start was pretty simple. Eggs, icing sugar, ground almonds, caster sugar, chocolate butter, bish bash bosh, sell it, done.
At what point did you move away from making it in your kitchen?
So 9 months later, I think I signed the lease on July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. Yeah, 9 months later. I do business. I still count on my fingers. So 9 months later, it was actually my mum who found this. It was a florist, and it wasn't publicly up for lease. But I walked by it and the person was locking up, and I just said, is this, like for rent? She let me in. I looked around the space, and she owned the building. So before you knew it, I was signing a lease, and yeah, I feel very lucky. Things happened in divine timing. I think that it's just about being ready to take the opportunity to be ready to be curious. And I think the entrepreneurial mindset can be equated with the character trait of being curious.
Absolutely. And what, was that a cafe at that point, or was it just a kitchen to cook in?
So the aim of the game at that point was just to take the production out of my kitchen so that I could scale that. I couldn't hire anyone and invite them into my home. So first and foremost, it was that, and that was at the back of the shop. Having a shop front was more of a perk. People could sit in, have some tea, coffee, macarons, and some other pastries.
Talk a little bit about journey since then. Where has the business gone? What have been the big wins and also challenges?
So many challenges. So when I had the space to make the macarons, I was able to get my first employee. My first employee was charged with making the product because I knew that I wouldn't be able to scale the business and do all the business development, the branding, the marketing if I was stuck in the back making macarons. So I very quickly shifted to having the focus on getting things off the ground. The shop opened in 2014, so by 2015 we launched our website and started selling online. At the same time, once we kind of nailed packaging, so we could send macarons in the post, we were able to take orders from hotels, from trade customers. We opened an industrial unit, a kitchen, not too far in Leith, Edinburgh. So we'd taken production a step further and started to operate more like a manufacturer. Our parcels were dispatched from that location as well. That's us getting a wee bit more sophisticated, not just a nice shop and cafe. So in 2018, we were already in a different location, and we were all ready to do a business case scenario assessment of, if we close this shop, will this business still survive? And the answer was overwhelmingly yes, because the overheads from having a shop, if you don't open it, you're not making money. If you're an online business, you can go to sleep and still make money. And so we got rid of that, and that really switched the business, because your whole market goes from Edinburgh to everywhere. So that was a big step in 2018. 2019 was a big mistake. And I got approached by Edinburgh Airport, and they said, we would love for you to be part of a select group of Scottish businesses to sell your products in the departure lounge. I'd miss retail, I love people, and I was like, yes, such a compliment. There's so many people in the airport. It costs so much money. And within 2 months, I just shut it down. And to shut something down in the airport is really hard, because we had to sneak out in the middle of the night once the last plane had taken off. So it was wild. Then 2020, COVID hit, everyone was at home, started ordering cake, so our growth went up a notch. And we had one particular trade customer get in touch, and they wanted massive volume. You want 10,000 macarons a week? Sure. I will make that happen. Don't know how, but I will. And yeah, that combination of e-commerce and trade clients really accelerated the business. We'd been in the Barbie film, our macarons had been on set, and we got into the BBC. It was just wild. It was like a non-story that became a story, and things were doing really well. We had turnover of over £1 million, profitable. Where we are now, 2025, it's a different landscape for a few reasons. Through the cost of living crisis and with the scary stuff going on in the world, we're seeing people being less comfortable parting with their money, and having something that's a little bit of luxury is not a necessity. If you take it now, our turnover has shrunk, but our profitability has gone up. So it's learning over time to be more efficient, to say no to opportunities. So that's a really interesting point to be at, where for the arguably first time I'm thinking strategically, I'm thinking long term. I'm not dealing with pandemics or random increases in rent. Having said that, the increase in our kitchen unit has gone up 54%. But that's, yeah.
One of the things that strikes me about that story is so many wins, right? So many wins and so many successes. The Barbie film, that's really fun. But obviously a lot of challenges. Entrepreneurship's not easy. It is a bit of a roller coaster, a bit of a bumpy ride. How do you personally deal with that and stay resilient and keep going? What are your techniques?
I love journaling. I don't do it nearly enough. Love meditation. Also don't do it nearly enough. But I'm trying really hard to start my day with a little bit of gratitude. And once a week, I go on a beach walk just with my dog. I don't put my headphones in, and I have no noise in my head. It's such a needed moment to just clear the cobwebs, restart. I think that as entrepreneurs, you just have this innate thing that drives you. It makes no sense sometimes. My parents have often wanted me to say to stop, but there's something inside that just says no. Where that really stemmed from, I can't put my finger on. Of course, there'll be moments, maybe when I was growing up and I had to deal with the condition. One sort of trick, I tried to trick my mind, and I'll show you. So this is my planner. It's a quarterly journal, and I made it bespoke by adding in photos of key moments of success. So I've got the BBC News article, I've got a photo of Pedro Pascal eating our macarons from when we had a shop. We worked with Revlon. This is my child and husband, and a big challenge for me was having a baby while running a business. And then this photo here is when I took my team to Paris. So that was a big win for me. I wanted to take everyone to Paris and show them where the business began. So little things like that, just to give you a moment to say, actually, well done.
It's so true, celebrating success, right? Because it's so easy to focus on all the things that go wrong. You know, you've built this incredible business over 12 years, going back and sometimes giving yourself that space to remember. So I think that's a lesson, not just for entrepreneurship, but for life.
Yeah.
So, okay, if there's someone out there who's thinking of starting a business that's in high school or young, what skills do you recommend that they build, and how might they go about doing that?
Build the skill of asking questions. You know nothing. You don't know nothing, but the power of naivety is a great thing. And I think if you're willing to be vulnerable and ask questions, that's a skill. Like, your pride doesn't get in the way. People are willing to help. So go and ask them.
Fantastic. Any final words you'd like to share?
I would say go and speak to someone who's run a business, or go and work with a business that is a startup that is growing, where you can learn a lot, but turn up on time. Do not feel entitled that you will be treated like, a seasoned member of staff. Make yourself available, because that is the only way that you'll get something out of it.
Well, Rachel, it has been such a pleasure to talk to you. Love your business. Love a macaron. And I can't wait to see where Mademoiselle Macaron goes next. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.